Hi, we're with Thea in her home today and with her little dog Bam Bam. And Thea's going to tell us her story. She had stem cell therapy. How long ago was it, Thea?
I started the stem cell last May.
Last May. And Thea, for 16 years, was critically ill. Tell me how you felt before your cell therapy, Thea.
Other than awful, I had a challenging disease, and even today I couldn't tell you what it was. But the onset was that you had a lot of sores, and they were nasty sores. They were little blisters, started out like a little blister, and then they would just get larger, and they would burn the skin because it was hot, and they would itch. So I used to take oatmeal baths, trying to get this pain off of my body. But the very first outbreak I had was my face and my head, totally a head experience, neck up. And what was said to me many years ago is that I had herpes below and above the waist, which means that it usually is going to attack you here. It never attacked the midsection, and it either come from the waist down or from the neck up. I can't tell you that that's what I had. I really can't tell you, but it was of probably a herpes simplex virus that over time just got bigger and bigger. It was just my head at first, and then it got to my body over the years. But
and you were critically ill, so how much time did you spend in the hospital?
Well, through the last 16 years, 3 times. One time for 18 days critically, another time 10 days, and another time about 14 days.
And why did you seek different treatment other than the conventional treatment of today?
Well, I did initially go to conventional doctors. The first time I had walked into a doctor's office, it was an Indian woman. I had the sores on my head. She was aghast at me. She just went like this and said, "Have you been tested for AIDS?" And I just was in shock. Therein lies where I was now put on antiviral medication with the information along with those drugs that I would be 2 years out with a kidney problem in 2 years or a liver problem with these drugs. You had to take them 5 times a day, every 2 or 3 hours. So for a little while I took them because that was the only thing that was on board. I thought, okay, well, I only have a couple years to figure out whether this is what I want to do. And that's not what I wanted to do.
And what was it that brought you to the cell therapy?
A girlfriend.
So then you went down to Mexico, and how was that whole experience, and what was that like? Was there any pain to the treatment, and how were the doctors there?
Well, you must understand, I've been to Mexico for 16 years. So Mexico and the trip down there on the 15 was very, it was a matter of course. It was part of my job. I mean, I literally made sure when I left, it was going to be an all-day thing. I relaxed. I wasn't in any hurry, because any of those kind of things that you add to that trip is nothing but a disaster. So going to Mexico was easy. And it's not what they say up here in California or in the States that you got to be careful about Mexico, because you don't. I crossed it all the time. Parked my car on this side, walked over, knew half the guards. So when you get into the clinic, the staff are friendly, the doctor was very knowledgeable.
And what was the biggest change in your life after having this stem cell therapy?
Well, it's just I'm now back to I've always been training. But now when I train, I do the Ironman, and I do triathlons, and I swim every day, and I ride my bicycle. And the difference is the energy that I have to do it. And before I had this interview, end of yesterday, I rode 60 miles yesterday and another 50 today. And I have the energy to sit here and talk to you and have an interview. Normally, I would just be out. I would do it because that was what I did, but I would just be, I'd have to take a nap. And a mentality or this illness that had suppressed everything. And once you get the stem cells, it's like, it's an injection of life on some source, and I can't explain it. I cannot, but people will come to you and you will ask them the same question, and they'll, in their own words, come to you and say, it's close to what I'm saying. Like, oh, I feel like living again.
Knowing what you know already about stem cells, would you recommend it to someone else?
Oh, absolutely. I have a couple of friends right now. Actually, my girlfriend had a couple of her clients call me, and I talked 2 of them into it, and I know they're currently taking it and are having very good response. My very good friend, who was also in the same clinic as my girlfriend and I in Mexico, had talked to me about it, and he's on it. And I just checked in with him 2 days ago, and again, I got an email this morning how good he's doing. And the first thing he says to me, he says, Thea, I want to go back to the gym. And I go, yeah. And he was kind of hesitant at first, but he entrusted in me. He's known me for a lot of years. He says, you know, I would do anything. I know how sincere you are about what you do. I know you do the research. And he says, you know what? You need a program. Just ask Thea, because every time I ask you how to get well, you've made me well. I said, well, you need to do this, and I promise you. He said, well, I wouldn't do it. I'm doing this because you told me to. I said, then that's a good enough reason for me. And I'm going to tell you it'll be something that you will be absolutely amazed with. And currently he's doing wonderful. So
that's great
anybody
news.
else? Absolutely.